Oh, well, apparently I might be going live early. Just doing a sound check. We're going to see how that works for the moment. Not seeing it showing up quite yet. That's okay. Sound check time is always fun. You can hang out here and listen as I'm doing my sound check. But at any moment now, my ears will probably blow up as I start to hear myself. You can decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing before I mute these windows. Okay. It's interesting because I've noticed that Zoom and Facebook and WebEx, they all use different sort of filtering. And so you don't necessarily get the same experience as you go. Here we go. Checking on Facebook, the audio. Hey, that sounds pretty good. Awesome. Don't have to re-level. So now I can remute Facebook for me. There we go. Okay. I should pull up Twitter since I told people they could ask me questions and I might answer them. I'll have that ready. And I got a couple of people on Facebook who are now checking me out, and they're like, "Oh, audio quality. What are you doing?" Okay, about 3:30, maybe 3:33. I'm really going to kick into this. So right now, you mostly get to see me getting ready for my live cast, figure out what's going on. Taking my keepa off earlier. I guess I could sit here and play on the Switch while I'm hanging out here, but that probably is not quite where I'm going to go. What I really need to do is figure out how to only look at the comments on YouTube and not actually see myself distracting me over there. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. Not a lot better. Oh, there we go. That's much better. Same thing for Facebook. I want to be able to sort of see the comments and not necessarily get overly distracted by myself. So we'll put that screen right there. That lets me pull up Zoom. I'm sort of talking you through what I'm doing, mostly so that you don't get totally disengaged and run off before I get into interesting content, but also so that I know what I'm doing. So I remember it. Maybe I should write this down as a sort of how-to list, but that would be, a little more complicated than I'm really ready to get into at the moment. So I'm just arranging all my windows. So I've got two chat things right there. I got a video of myself over here as well as one down here. So that's pretty handy. And then I can just sort of check out what's going on and really be ready to go here on time. What I really kind of want to do is be able to look at this on all the things and then say, okay, now publish it. But that would probably require me to be a real producer rather than just sort of faking it in my spare time. Anyway, so motivation for today, beside it being Friday, woohoo, ready for a weekend, everybody. This is my 20th anniversary here at Akamai, which is pretty exciting for me. I know some of you may be like, whatever, 20 years. When I started at Akamai, I did not expect it to be a 20-year gig. I thought maybe, this would be a couple of years. I'd get my feet underneath me. It's just coming out of the Air Force. I'd been medically discharged with asthma, part of a collection of interesting symptoms I have that if I was willing to fight with the VA over it, we'd probably get called multiple unexplained syndromes syndrome, or multiple unexplained symptoms syndrome, what they call Gulf War syndrome in bureaucrat speak. I have asthma, I've got eczema. Asthma is really killing me today. Allergies, and I did a personal record on the Peloton. But anyway, I was getting out of the Air Force, was really looking forward to, what am I going to do now? 2000, sort of the peak of the dot-com boom. And I had some friends that worked at Akamai. I'd interviewed with a handful of companies. So one of them was Akamai. I'd interviewed with AtStake, with Sapient, with a couple of other consulting companies. Akamai was the only one who actually made me a credible offer. Everybody else was a body shop, and they said, "Oh, you're coming out of the Air Force. You've made 30 grand a year. We can lowball you." So, for those of you in the workforce who worry about getting lowballed because of the last job you had, totally been there. I can empathize with that challenge. But so I came in and I came to Akamai. Let me tell you about my first week at Akamai. First of all, my official anniversary date is Wednesday, the 31st. Well, it was Wednesday. It was the official day I started. Although I think I actually started a few days before. I've got a colleague, Jenny Lee, that she's also at her 20-year anniversary. Her official start date's a couple days after mine, but she actually started even earlier. In those days, you got provisioned with everything before your start date. You could just show up, and you sometimes did. It was the startup culture, for good or ill. That's just the way it was. So I show up. My boss, hands me my laptop, and he says, "Look, you got 3 days to get it all set up." Next day he comes in and says, "Oh, by the way, the auditors are coming next week for our British Standard 7799 audit." So, yeah, that was an interesting welcome to the company. I knew nothing about what Akamai did other than made the internet work better. CDN, whatever CDN wasn't a term anybody really knew at the time. So, went out, got that done, worked on, securing our base Linux image. At the time, just running, was that Bastille? I think that was the tool for sort of scanning through and finding all the things you'd done poorly, stripping out a lot of, binaries we didn't need, and then helping build a bunch of our security products. Helped get us to where we are today. But I didn't expect 20 years. Certainly when our stock crashed, when I hired in my initial stock options, back when people got stock options rather than just restricted shares, were priced at $120 a share. So they would still be underwater. I think today, I didn't actually go check our stock price, but I'd be surprised if we crossed that one already. Although we're back in that ballpark. Been up over 100, which was really cool, 19-year high. Because it went 120, we got priced every quarter. So 120, 90, 60, 30. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube Live or Facebook, want to drop me a question, feel free. I may not answer it in the comments. I'll try to answer it here. If you, ask a question on Twitter, tag me while I'm alive. Maybe I'll answer it. We'll see. I've got Tweetbot up right here and Twitter in front of me just in case. So I'm kind of prepared. At least I think I'm kind of prepared. Turns out I didn't have Twitter up, so now I've got Twitter up in front of me. But boy, do I have a bunch of other notifications going on at the moment. So anyway, that's sort of where I was 20 years ago. Came to Akamai. It's been a fantastic run, I've got to say. Let me talk about some of the awesome stuff I've gotten to do. Besides making the internet suck less, I've gotten to hire, manage, develop, and learn from some wonderful colleagues. I couldn't imagine a better team than the team that I work with today. The men and women of InfoSec and the non-binaries as well. Sorry about that. Fantastic human folks. So all those humans are amazing. And I'm really, really honored to get to lead that group on a daily basis. It's neat to have built it. But when I say I built it, really I put in place the pieces that helped it get built, and I listened to people. I often see people talk about leadership, and I see this pie chart floating around of what is leadership. And one of the biggest pieces of leadership is adapting to the people you lead. Is recognizing what they need and what you can do for them so that you can produce whatever quality, whatever output you actually need, but to take advantage of their skill sets. It's much like how my favorite football coaches or builds a team, because in addition to Belichick, being the coach of the Patriots, he's also the general manager. He's in charge of all the player recruiting and player staffing. And what does he do that's interesting? Is he doesn't say, look, the 11 positions I need to fill look like this. Let me get the people who are closest to those. Now he says, who are the players I can get who really want to play football, that have a versatile skill set and the ability to learn and adapt, and then I'm going to change my playbook to match them. And that's what makes him such an amazing coach and why the Patriots have had the run that they've had. And I've tried to model myself on that. You know, when I hire somebody who cares about a certain thing, how do you take advantage of that passion and let them do it and engage in what they want to engage in? You know, now that doesn't mean you just hire anybody random off the street and let them do whatever they want. This is slightly less Montessori than that, but it's still pretty Montessori. It's finding the people that really care and giving them the opportunities to drive those passions and drive you forward in a way that really, really matters. I just realized that I'm got my in-ear monitors in. Oh, brand new in-ear monitors. These are from Basin, B-A-S-N. They're like $60, which is really nice. They're not custom, so they don't quite fit right. But the price difference between these and custom earphones is a steep one. But I'm not actually listening to any audio now, so there's no reason to have them in, slightly distorting my own hearing. So that's, I think, for my 20 years at Akamai, that's one of my favorite things. I just wrote a blog post up for our internal website about our time off tracking tool. Now, I'm sure many of you use time off tracking systems, you know, possibly something like eTime or integrated into Workday or something else of that nature. Well, for the last 15 years, the time off tracker that Akamai has used was written by me. We didn't have one 20 years ago. You know, we had paper. You'd literally print out a Word document that had on it like 2 boxes so that you could fill in 2 different vacation events. And you'd say, I took 8 hours this day to this day, and you'd sign your name, and you'd have your manager sign it, and then you'd put it in our office mail and send it off to payroll to process. Well, with 2 printed on a page, how many people cut them in half or ripped them in half? No, most people kept them until they had 2 events. So you can be certain a lot of those got lost, a lot got forgotten. You know, people were working overtime anyway. I'm sure people took comp days. So we had a big balance of vacation. And so, you know, company wanted to make sure people were taking vacation. And so I just built a little web form that would track the vacation and help you send the emails. And over time, it just evolved and became this whole workflow management system. And what was fascinating is all of the things I built for that are capabilities I wanted in my security dashboard, which was on the same system, same database. And so really the most voluminous thing we did was the vacation and time off tracking. But that was just the beta test site for everything else we did. And it's a neat thing to think about, which is, first of all, it was just taking an opportunity to make the world better for us. You know, how could we add some efficiency in? That's what I went after. Made it better. That was great. But then once I'm in that position, how did we use that and do things that were new and novel? For instance, our security awareness tracker that sends out mail that tells you, hey, time for you to come fill out to do your new security awareness training and recertify, looks to see if you're on vacation. And if you are, it doesn't send a mail. No reason to cloud your inbox. I'm checking every Monday to send you mail. So I suppose if you were out every Monday and just, you know, had blocked all those days, you'd never get the email. Haven't run into anybody with that problem yet. But it's kind of a neat place to be in, to sort of have that opportunity to take advantage of it. I got asked recently what technology I'm using here for this. So the microphone is an Electro Voice. It's the RE320. It's a studio microphone designed for musicians. Because it's a real mic, not just a USB mic. It has to be plugged into a DSP. That's the Universal Audio Arrow. My favorite thing about this was I had to register it so that I could activate it, because it's replaces a whole studio. I can buy upgrades for it if I wanted, just software-based upgrades. And they only really asked one question, which was, what is your role in the music industry? So I got a kick out of trying to decide whether I should put myself as a singer. If they'd said talent, I might have gone with that. But if you've heard me sing, you'll know that it's more, it's less about singing and more about enjoying and energy and enthusiasm. And then so that's what I'm using for audio. And obviously I've got the in-ear monitors to listen to myself. I haven't yet figured out how to plug them into the universal audio device and only listen to what's coming out of the computer without it going back in. Although it's a great way to do karaoke. So I've done some karaoke just for fun there. Put that on Facebook for those of you who are Facebook friends. No, I'm not going to friend everybody. So if you are watching on YouTube and you're like, ooh, I want to see that. Sorry, probably not going to happen. And then for the camera, I'm using the Canon EOS Rebel SL3. And it's coming through a cam link into my laptop. Now, for those of you who say, oh, wait, you don't need a cam link. You're right. There is some cool software, not the Canon software that only runs on Windows, to do this. I'm actually going to experiment with that with my EOS 5D Mark II that doesn't produce clean HDMI output, but the software lets you run it over USB. So Noam, who's one of my colleagues, he just sent me the how-to there. We'll give that a shot. Because we are preparing for my son's bar mitzvah coming up at the end of June. And so I'm going to be using all this equipment down in our basement. We're going to build a synagogue where we can do the virtual streaming service from it. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'd love to have 2 cameras instead of just one. So I can think about what interesting things I might want to do with having 2 views that I can put together. So that's the equipment I've got here. I'm a big fan of the Canon. I think I may have to play around to get better depth of field because my focal depth, because I can't be in focus and have Mr. Slater in focus, and I really want to have him in focus. Brian's telling me there's a delay between my lips and the audio. Usually, Brian, that is caused on the client side with Facebook, if that's where you're watching. But I'm going to take a listen and see what I hear on Facebook to see if it is me or if it's you or something else that's going on there. Yep, that's going to be you. Yep. So, hey, Brian, reload the page and hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on. Or hear me at the same time as I'm speaking, because I can certainly see it here correctly on that round trip loop. So Brian, by the way, I got to give him a shout out. So for my 20th anniversary, I got to send a text on the group chat, by the way, to schedule it. So Sunday at 5, we're going to pull out the grill. And we got steaks. Brian, I got steaks for everybody. Or Giselle got steaks for everybody, but I'm just doing the cooking. We're going to throw those on the grill. Still got to figure out what wine we're having with dinner. Probably that's coming out of my cellar. But Brian is pulling out the 1977 Taylor Fladgate. Unless he, decides he's going to drink that whole, I think it was a 3-liter bottle by himself. But I'd be surprised. Might have been a 1.5. But really looking forward to tasting that. That's going to be my treat for my 20-year anniversary. So I'm really looking forward to it. Brian thinks this is bad Wi-Fi. I gave him advice for improving his network. Did that over COVID distancing. So I've now got a Unify managed network, which is a lot of fun here. So that's sort of what's going on here. I'm pretty excited about a lot of this. I got a notification. I don't know if I can look at that notification on Facebook at the same time. But I have no idea. I don't want to screw with it. So we'll just keep chatting. Y'all are stuck with me. I'm soon going to have a guest on here. Not today. Another day. Rachel Toback has volunteered. Maybe we'll play some Overwatch together. I've got a new Nintendo Switch back here. Was playing Overwatch on it last night. Man, those controls are much harder than playing on the Xbox, I gotta say. That said, since I'm now level 1 on it doesn't know anything about my skills at playing Overwatch. So running around at level 1 and playing other people, even with my bad controls, who are also level 1, was working out pretty good. So, easy way to boost your ego if you're playing a competitive game on one platform is go play on another platform. And the people you get matched up against probably don't have as much practice as you have at playing it. So that's the thing. Oh, apparently my conversation with Bob on security just dropped again. Actually, I did this morning. The YCSO should embrace the sidekick role. So I want to talk about that one for a minute. And frankly, I think this applies outside of the security world as well, which is there's this easy thing to do where I get in a conflict with you and I say, I'm going to be the hero and I'm going to solve the problem. But to be a hero, if you're going to solve the problem, then the problem has to be caused by a villain. And if I make you the villain, well, you're going to make me the villain. And now we're fighting and we're not solving the problem. The fastest path to collaboration goes through recognizing that the other person is the hero in their story. And if you want them to write you into their story in a good way, you have to write yourself into that narrative the same way. Not as a hero competing with them, but as a sidekick enabling them. So if you want to hear more on that, just had this great conversation with Bob. I'm actually going to pull up the URL for that so that I can drop it in the comments for anybody who's gotten this far. Let's see, make sure I'm in the right places to add comments. Oh, hey, that's an interesting little artifact there. There we go. So putting it into YouTube, and we'll drop it on Facebook too. There we go. So if you're interested, it's an audio thing. You could leave me here and just say, I don't want to listen to Andy anymore. I'll go listen to Andy over there. Although, man, the audio quality there is way worse than here. So sorry, Bob, about that. Here's a little fascinating thing that because I've had to learn audio engineering so fast, and just to be clear, I am horrible at audio engineering compared to professionals. I just know a lot more than I used to know. But I used to struggle when I'd do a podcast recording with somebody and I'd call in and they're like, oh, I can tell that you're on your earphones or your AirPods. Can you take those out and just talk right into the phone? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to walk around like this with my phone and talk to you. And you're like, oh, that's really painful. I want to be able to walk around my room, act naturally, not have to worry about the sound. That's not the way it was. It's not the way it should be. So when I listen to how I used to do stuff, it helps me stay a little humble when I hear people, when I'm on a video conference with somebody and they're using their laptop microphone and I'm kind of cranky because I'm like, God, I can hear so much echoing there. I got to remember, hey, that was me 3 months ago. I pivoted a lot. That's what I tend to do. I'll sort of obsess about how do I just completely go over the top and do the most awesome things. Oh, hey, Bill, I see you, saying hi in Facebook chat. So how are you doing? So that's sort of where I am. How I got, some things to think about with that other podcast that dropped. It was a lot of fun to do, though. I could sit and talk to Bob Bragdon for hours on end. We'll talk about football. Hey, speaking of sports, the Boston Uprising, they won a game last week, and then over the weekend, they're part of the May Melee, I think is what Uprising called it, where the top teams all got to pick who they played against as their cupcake teams. The Uprising almost upset the Paris Eternal. They didn't win, but it was one of the best games I've seen them play in quite a while. Really glad to have seen that. Really shows that they're sort of turning that corner. Now it means I may not be able to say, oh, Boston has one of the worst teams in sports, but as we see more sports coming back, I'm sure there's a lot of really bad teams in other leagues that probably also matter, or may actually be totally worse. So that's where that one is. So let's see what else is going on. So no Patriot stuff going on, although I hear the McCourties just did this great chat I gotta go dig up. They're always fun to watch. Probably they'll be on I think they do Saturday night or Sunday night. Sunday night at 8 o'clock. They usually do their sort of live cast on FanCred, if anybody's really interested in that one. So that's where I am right now. Been here for about 20 minutes. Anybody got any questions? If you got questions, ask me them now, and maybe you'll get a crazy answer out of me. But if not, in a little bit, I'll wrap up unless y'all enjoy the weekend. I'm not going to sing karaoke for you tonight, just so everybody knows. This is not a karaoke night, unless you're my kids, in which case this is so going to be a karaoke night, except you're the only ones who'll get to hear it. It'll just be me, probably a cappella, singing crazy things like Despacito or whatever actually pops into mind with them. Oh, hey, I want to give a shout out to all my Peloton riders. It has been fantastic to have that community helping me like get focused, to get onto the bike. For those of you who are struggling with wellness, if you've got a group that you used to have and now you don't because you're in a distributed fashion, see what you can do to recapture that. That's been really good for me. I really struggled about a month ago with trying to maintain my fitness levels, partly because I'd over pivoted. I was on that bike every day. I stopped. I'm now on the bike 2 to 3 days a week. I try to get on the treadmill a couple days. I do a lot more stretching, a bunch more strength exercises. Been working on my planks, so Sherry, you'll be happy to hear that. But yeah, figure out what you need to do to take care of yourself out there, because that's probably the hardest thing right now, is just understanding that that's what you're going to need to do, is take care of yourself, because it's not like you've got a giant support community that sees you every day and can tell you, hey, it's time to take care of yourself. So anyway, that's where we are. So no comments came in, no questions came in. So I'm going to call it a day. You guys all have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the outside if you can get some outside time. If allergies are killing you, just like they are me, really sorry to hear that. Take care of yourself. And we'll see you later. See you on the other side. Oh, hey, anybody who sees this who's like, dang, Andy, I just want to have a conversation with you, let me know. First of all, I'm always happy to have people just join me here. We can chat and live stream it. If you want to have a private chat, just let me know. And let other people know. You know, it doesn't hurt to ask. Just say, hey, I just want to have a conversation. Now, if you want to have a conversation because you want to sell me something, that might be a different situation. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a fantastic day. And here's where I come over